May I proceed? You may. Hi. You state your name for the jury, please.
Everybody here knows my name. I'm Avery Anderson.
But your real name?
It's AJ McCollum, but only my stepmother calls me that, so Avery it is.
Okay. What do you do for a living, Avery?
I am a nationally renowned actress. You might have seen me in the movies Sharknadoes 2 and 3, as well as the live-action Broadway version of The Notebook.
And you've been on live television?
Yes, I've been on Midlands After Dark with Alex Grace and The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
How many times have you been on Midlands After Dark?
3 times.
And all 3 of those episodes aired?
No.
Why didn't the 3rd episode air?
Because of the terrible tragedy that was the chimpanzee attacking Chris Villafano.
I would like to talk a little bit about why you're at the studio that day. Can you tell us why you're at the studio?
Yes. So I was scheduled to appear on the same taping of Midlands After Dark as Danny Kozak. They invited me in to attend a rehearsal.
Is it common for someone like you to attend rehearsals at a show?
I'm so sorry I find that funny. It's just a star of my caliber? No, we rarely attend rehearsal.
So then why were you there?
Because Chris had texted me personally asking for my talents. How could I tell such a loyal fan no?
Was there anybody else at the rehearsal?
Yes. Danny Kozak and his chimpanzee, as well as this low-level band called the Hound Dogs, whatever.
Okay. Now, I want to talk a bit about the day of the rehearsal. When did you arrive at the studio?
11:30 a.m., right after my weekly brunch with my brand new husky puppy, Alethea. She is 36 weeks old and just the cutest thing ever.
Okay. So when you arrived, what was the first thing you did?
I went to my dressing room to unpack, of course. I was very unpleasantly surprised by the fact that they put me in dressing room 2. Or they put me in dressing room 1. Because typically I'm in 2. It's the quietest and the biggest.
Why were you in dressing room 1 instead of dressing room 2?
I believe they gave it to Danny Kozak.
Was there anything left for you in dressing room 1?
Yes, they left me a printed out copy of the guidelines taped on my dressing room mirror. I was quite shocked. What sort of document was more important than my reflection?
Had you seen those guidelines before?
Yes, they emailed them to me before I came on set, and that's when I read them over.
All right. After you arrived at your dressing room, did you speak with anybody on the set?
Alex Grace came in to talk with me. It's pretty standard in the industry for hosts to come along and chat with the guests before, After all, I am a star.
How would you describe Alex Grace that day?
Oh, he was looking fabulous. Energetic, well put together. I was wondering what he was on.
All right. After you had a conversation with Alex, what did you do?
After my conversation with Alex, I went to the studio to watch rehearsal.
And on your way to the studio, did you pass through the green room?
Yes, I did. I heard the most awful screams coming from the green room. I was so curious to what was in it, and it was the chimpanzee. It was going absolutely crazy. It reminded me of the time when I was in Sharknado 3 and I got eaten by a shark. The screams were just absolutely bone-chilling. But I almost won an Emmy for it, so.
With the exception of the screams, did you hear anything else in the green room?
Yes, I heard Danny Kozak talking on the phone.
Did you happen to hear what he said?
Yes, Danny Kozak was telling whoever that their chimpanzee was super grumpy and that they didn't want Elias to calm down. They said that they needed this appearance, otherwise they would be done. D-O-N-E, done.
Did you tell anybody what you'd heard?
Well, I went to go tell Alex, but he was busy monologuing. And you just cannot interrupt a host during a monologue. It's unprofessional.
Okay. After Alex's monologue, is that when the chimp and Danny Kozak came on set?
Yes, that's when they started their interview. I was supposed to be the first guest that night, but Alex and I agreed we didn't need to rehearse our bit, so they went straight to Danny Kozak. They asked the chimpanzee a few questions, and then that's when Danny Kozak walked off the stage.
He walked, where did he go?
Well, she walked over to the group of riders and then went further and stepped back towards the wall.
Have you ever seen a handler step back to that before?
No, for a handler to step that far back, I thought it was completely irresponsible.
Objection, Your Honor, as to improper opinion.
Response?
This witness has seen handlers handlers handling animals on livestock before. She has seen multiple instances of this, and her saying she's never seen it is not an improper opinion.
Your Honor, if I may. The witness, no foundation has been laid for the witness seeing previous animal handlers. Furthermore, for her to state that the behavior is irresponsible implies that she has some sort of knowledge as to what responsible animal training is. She clearly does not have any prior experience in the field of animal training, as she's only an actress, and therefore any judgment she makes as towards Danny Kozak's behaviors is improper opinion.
Your Honor, if a person were to see someone who is supposed to be in control of an animal walk away from that animal, a layperson may indeed view that as an irresponsible action. And that is what Agent McClellan is testifying to today.
But she did testify to handlers that she had seen previously, right? She wasn't testifying just about that statement.
She said she has never seen a handler do that before.
Can you lay some foundation on her experience with some handlers in the past?
Yes.
Your Honor, if I may.
Sure.
Any opinion that she gives regarding how the actions are, and that the actions of Danny Kozak backing off behind the riders are irresponsible, requires knowledge as to what responsible animal training is. And since she doesn't have that knowledge, she can only testify towards her opinions as a layperson, that she saw Danny Kozak walk behind the riders, not that that action was anything.
I agree. I'm going to sustain the objection, and I would ask that you lay the foundation of her previous experience with handling animals, or watching animal handlers in the past.
Yes, Your Honor. Have you ever worked with animal handlers in the past?
Yes, I've actually worked with Danny Kozak multiple times before. And during those times, I've never seen Danny Kozak step as far back as she did this time. Typically, she's like within 10-15 feet of her animal, but on the June 29th, she was like 30 feet away. She was so far back.
What happened after Danny Kozak stepped back?
Well, that's when the chimpanzee started to get upset again. He was standing on his chair, he was making those same screams from earlier, baring his huge monster teeth. Ugh, it was very creepy and unnerving.
Objection, Your Honor. Again, as to improper opinion, Agent McClellan is offering the fact that the chimp was upset. Unfortunately, she's not an animal trainer. She has no prior experience. And if I may proffer, it'll be said that it's hard to distinguish what makes or what is a friendly or unfriendly gesture towards a chimp, and sometimes what humans can interpret as friendly can be seen as unfriendly. And Agent McClellan has no prior experience as to identifying these features, so she can't say that the animal was unfriendly.
Response?
Your Honor, a wild animal standing up, baring its teeth, is a very well-known trait of an irritated, angry, unfriendly animal. The showing of the teeth is almost a universal of angry, irritated animals, and therefore that action would allow Agent McClellan to testify that it was unsettling and angry.
Your Honor, if I may?
Sure.
Not only has foundation not been laid that baring of the teeth is considered an aggressive behavior, but if, like I proffered earlier, it will be said that chimps may specifically identify what humans see as aggressive when it's clearly not, or may distinguish emotions that are hard for a human to identify. Therefore, what a layperson says and testifies to may specifically be misleading, and therefore she needs to either have prior knowledge or foundation must be established that she knows what an aggressive chimp behaves as.
Your Honor, if you see a dog baring its teeth at you, you don't need an expert to tell you that it's an angry animal.
Your Honor, a dog is something that everybody interacts with every day. A chimp requires specialized knowledge.
So did the witness testify that she was afraid of the chimp, or did
The
she
witness
testify
testified that she was unnerved by the chimp's actions.
So she can testify to how she felt by what the chimp did, but she can't testify to what the chimp was actually doing and what that meant about what that meant for all other chimps or typical animals of that.
We're not talking about
Species.
all the chimps, you're right.
So I'm going to overrule this objection as long as we focus on how she felt in her reaction to how the chimp was acting.
Thank you, Your Honor. Avery, can you tell us if you saw any of the guidelines laid out earlier being broken by any MTS employee or Alex Kozak?
So as I said earlier, I read the guidelines like a professional would do before I came to rehearsal that day. So, some of the guidelines that I saw that were definitely being followed was there was no food around. I didn't smell any food. And also, I didn't see anybody touching the chimpanzee. I didn't see any loud audiences. And that's what I can say about the rules. I can't say about anything about all the rules because I wasn't there for the entire rehearsal, but that's what I can say about these rules. Or guidelines, I should say. Guidelines and rules are very different.
AJ, can you tell us about when the chimp attacked?
Yes. So, the chimpanzee was standing on its chair, it was waving its arms around, baring its teeth, screaming, and then all of a sudden, it just charged at me and the writers. I ran out that studio door as fast as I could. I was not about to get mauled by a chimp, not that day. And so, I shut the studio door behind me, and that's when I saw the chimpanzee. There was a little window. I just saw the chimpanzee climb on top of Chris and start mauling him. It was so violent. So violent. And I heard Chris's screams. Now, I've been in a lot of war movies, and Chris is... It just takes the cake.
And did you see the defendant, Danny Kozak, doing anything to stop this attack?
No, I did not see Danny Kozak do anything at all to help Chris.
Thank you. No further questions.
Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. Now, Ms. Avery, I'd like to ask you a few questions about your experiences on June 29th. Is that okay?
Yes, that's okay.
Oh, let's start. You mentioned that you met with Danny Kozak multiple times, right?
Yes, I've been in plenty of movies where Danny Kozak has brought animals onto stage.
And in your experience, he's been nothing but professional. Is that correct?
Yes, we've never had any animal attacks before with Danny Kozak.
And when you arrived on set, you saw guidelines, right?
Yes, guidelines. They had been emailed to me before rehearsal as well as they were posted in my dressing room, as I said earlier.
And like you mentioned in direct examination, you read those guidelines. Is that correct?
I did. I read them over.
So would you recognize a copy of these guidelines if they were shown to you today?
I would.
Permission to approach a bench and retrieve Exhibit 23.
Yes, you may.
Permission to approach a witness with the same.
You may.
No.
Thank you.
Could you identify what I just handed you?
Yes, these are the safety guidelines that I was emailed as well as they were posted in my dressing room.
Are they a fair and accurate copy?
Yes, I would believe so.
And have they been tampered with or modified in any way?
Not that I can tell.
So, if you look at number 3, it says specifically that no food is to be allowed on set. Is that correct?
That is actually incorrect.
Oh.
Number 3 says have a quiet place for Elias to rest and rehearse.
Apologies. In the guidelines, it specifies that no food is to be on set. Is that correct?
Yes, that would be guideline. I actually do not see anywhere in the guideline. Oh, here it is. It's number 2.
Okay, so number 2 reads, the smell of food is very confusing for Elias. Please avoid eating or touching food for at least an hour before meeting Elias. Is that correct?
Yes, it does say that.
And in direct examination, you said that you didn't see any food on set, right?
I did not.
You didn't smell any food on set?
I did not. Now, this is at the time of the rehearsal. I will say that craft services, 2 hours prior to this, so it meets the whole 1 hour, 2 hours prior, they had a buffet. However, I knew that they cleared that buffet because when I went on set for the rehearsal, it was no longer there.
But you also saw the band members of the Hound Dogs stuffing their pockets with chicken wings, is that correct?
As an actress, I use a lot of figurative language. I might have said stuffing their pockets, but I really meant stuffing their faces. They're pigs.
So when you said stuffing their pockets, you actually meant stuffing their faces?
Either way, they did help themselves to the buffet. And they weren't on set during the rehearsal.
No, redirecting you back to my question, when you said stuffing their pockets in your affidavit, you actually meant stuffing their faces?
They could have been doing a little bit of both.
So they were stuffing their pockets with chicken wings, is that correct?
Why would you put chicken wings in your pockets? That's just gonna make them greasy.
Redirecting you back to my question, you said that they were putting chicken wings in their pocket, is that correct?
Okay. Let me just get this
Yes
straight.
or no? They were putting chicken wings in their pockets.
They had chicken wings on their plates. I guess they might have taken some to go, and they were eating them. They did not directly put chicken wings in their pockets. Why on earth would you do that? That's so stupid.
So it's your testimony today that they did not put chicken wings in their pockets.
They put some to go, which is stupid because
All right.
that means it would ruin their outfit.
So let's move on to your conversation with Alex Grace that you mentioned earlier. Now, when you saw Alex, you thought that she looked excited, right?
Yes, Alex was incredibly energetic, put together.
And one of the reasons you thought Alex looked so excited was because she had planned something unexpected, isn't that right?
I mean, Alex Grace always does a phenomenal job with their show's content.
But redirecting you back to my question, when you saw Alex Grace, you thought the reason that she looked so excited was because she had planned something unexpected, is that correct?
Objection? Speculation, Your Honor.
Your Honor, if I may proffer, this witness's prior experience with Alex Grace, and every time she sees Alex Grace excited, it's normally because she has planned something. She's seen this before as a pattern that Alex Grace gets excited before she plans something unexpected. This isn't speculation because I'm not asking this witness if she thought that Alex Grace had planned something or she knew Alex Grace had planned something. I'm simply asking her that when she saw her Alex Grace is excited, if it matched any other prior experiences she had with Alex Grace. This is within the bounds of rationally based perceptions.
Response?
Your Honor, simply asking if someone is excited, and if that means that they've planned something, does not correlate between the two. You can be excited for a multitude of reasons other than you have something up your sleeve. You can be excited because you had a great night last night, or you have plans tonight that you're excited to see, that you're excited to go to after work. It does not mean that there was some big event planned for the show.
Your Honor, if I may proffer.
Sure.
This witness has specifically been with Alex Grace and has noticed that before rehearsals, if Alex Grace seems excited, it's because she had planned something unexpected. This isn't me asking the witness in general if Alex Grace seemed excited and trying to extrapolate. It's me using the witness's prior experiences with Alex Grace and asking if Alex Grace typically seems excited before she does something unexpected. This isn't me asking if she seemed excited for anything else. This is me using her previous experiences and then seeing what Alex Grace's behavior is like before those previous experiences.
So what was the original question that you asked the witness?
The original question was, when Alex Grace gets excited, it's typically because she planned something unexpected. The witness is free to answer no to this question, but the witness, if I may proffer, has already said in the affidavit that before, in her previous interactions with Alex Grace, if she plans on doing something unexpected, she acts excited.
Your Honor,
Yes. Response?
I would say that, as so far, the only experience that's been shown that Avery Anderson has had with Alex Grace has been 2 previous appearances upon the Midland Network television show. 2 experiences do not make an entire person's personality and response to hidden actions or excitement clear to a person, especially two responses that happen in the middle of a performance venue.
Your Honor, if I may.
Sure.
A foundation has already been laid that they have the same agent and that she's appeared multiple times on the show. And furthermore, what opposing counsel says goes to weight as to permissibility. And now the jury is free to decide how much they take into consideration the witness's previous experiences. But given that she's already established a correlation herself, I believe it's permissible that she can use that correlation that she's established with her rationally based perceptions to make a determination about Alex Grace.
I'm going to overrule the objection.
Now, AJ,
Avery, please.
Avery, when you saw that Alex Grace was so excited, it's because you thought that she was planning something unexpected for the show. Is that correct?
I mean, Alex, they can appear excited for many, many reasons. So I can't necessarily say that it's because Alex Grace was planning something for the show, but they did seem to be in a good mood.
But you thought specifically that Alex Grace seemed excited because she was planning something unexpected for today's rehearsal. Is that correct?
I can't tell you whether or not Alex Grace was planning something special for the show or unexpected. All I can say is that Alex Grace seemed to be in a good mood.
But Avery, you can tell me what you thought at that time. And you thought, when you saw Alex Grace excited, that she was planning something unexpected for the rehearsal. Is that correct?
Now, you said rehearsal versus show. Is there a difference?
Yes, there is a difference. As a Broadway, you should understand that a rehearsal doesn't have a live audience, and you were at a rehearsal. So for the rehearsal, did you or did you not think that Alex Grace was planning something unexpected for the show?
I do know what a difference between our rehearsal and the show is. I was just trying to clarify because you changed the verbiage in your sentence. But sure, Alex Grace could have been planning something unexpected for the show, but that doesn't mean it wasn't for my appearance or for the Hound Dog's appearance.
So let's talk about the rehearsal itself then. Now, you arrived on set and nobody stopped you, right?
Nope, I just walked on the set to watch the rehearsal.
And so you saw the entire rehearsal, right?
No, when I walked into set, Alex had already started monologuing.
So you saw Elias get led into the chair, is that correct?
I did.
And at some point, you saw Danny Kosak back away, is that correct?
Yes, Danny Kozak walked off the stage and stepped back.
And you thought that Danny Kosak stepped back because Alex Grace had planned it, is that correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation.
Do we have a response?
Yes, Your Honor, if I may, this, excuse me. Avery has already established that she's talked with Alex Grace about the plans for the show, and she had expected certain things happen in the show, something unexpected specifically. And also, I'm asking as to what she thought occurred, not whether or not Alex Grace had planned it. Now, if I may proffer, she had multiple conversations with Alex Grace regarding what the interview would be like and whether or not she could participate in the interview. And in those conversations, it was implied that something special would occur. Now, this special thing, Avery later sees and assumes that it's because Alex Grace had planned this to interview Elias like one-on-one, that Danny Kosak stepped back in order to interact with the monkey. And what I'm asking is based on her knowledge, given her interactions with the head of MTS.
Response?
He asked if he thought that opposing counsel asked if he thought AJ had planned, he asked that if he was, well, damn it, I can't. He asked whether AJ thought Alex had planned it. That is not within the bounds of AJ to answer.
Your Honor, it's perfectly reasonable to assume those two had conversations specifically where they talked about the plans for the show. I'm not asking Avery to delve into the mindset of Alex Grace. I'm asking Avery to instead rely on her previous experiences, given that she walked on set, talked with other individuals about how the show would go, whether or not she thought that it was planned or not for Danny Kosak to back off.
All right, so I'm going to sustain this objection.
Yes, Your Honor. So, after you saw Danny back off, you also saw Alex Grace talk with Elias, right?
Yes, it seemed like they were just conducting a normal interview.
And Elias began to get agitated, is that correct?
Yes, they were baring its teeth, just screaming again, waving its arms, standing on its chair, all something you would see like a child do, like throwing a temper tantrum.
Now, Alex Grace looked happy at the fact that Elias was getting agitated, is that correct?
Yes, but only because Alex Grace is a talk show host, and no matter what, they have to appear calm, they have to pretend that they're in charge of the situation, even though there's no way Alex was in charge of a chimpanzee.
So, Alex Grace appeared happy that Elias was acting agitated, is that correct?
They may have appeared happy, but I can't tell you what Alex was actually feeling.
In fact, Alex Grace extended her hand towards Elias. Is that correct?
Alex Grace, they did reach towards the chimpanzee, but I thought it was like a pacifying sort of like, please
Now,
calm
Avery,
down.
I'm not asking what you think. I'm asking as to what occurred during these events. Did or did not Alex Grace extend her hand towards Elias?
Alex Grace, as I just said, did extend their hand towards the chimpanzee, but I thought it was because they were trying to pacify it because it was absolutely going wild.
Now, redirecting you back to my question, yes or no? Did Alex Grace extend his hand towards Elias?
Yes.
No further questions.
Redirect.
No redirect, guys.